Hi, I'm Brittany, and you are watching the Living Beyond Asana vlog. And this week and the last couple of weeks, I've been focusing on the asanas and giving you some really helpful tips as to stay safe and healthy in your asana practice. And I've been doing this as a result of the course that I have coming up. Registration closes October 27th. That course is called Demystifying Your Asana, and I am breaking down 40 of the most common yoga poses in the Vinyasa yoga practice, and really helping you to get clear on how to stay healthy and aligned in these poses. Even if you think you know them, a lot of times there is a lot of mystery to these postures. Right. So today, though, we are going to focus on my favorite thing to do to help bring stability to the low back. If your low back is feeling sore or uncomfortable, this is what we're going to do. So let me show you here. So we're going to grab a block. So I've done this manually. This one time, I had a friend. We were like going to Macy's, I think, to go shopping years ago. And her back, something had happened to her back. It was really bothering her. And right in the parking lot, I was like, stand, parallel your feet. And I took my hands on her thighs, and I internally rotated her thigh. Right? I took my hands on her thighs, and I rotated them in, and then I rooted them down on each side. And then I had her lengthen her tailbone and pull her low belly in and reach her arms to the sky. And it helped instantly right in the parking lot. This is something that I learned through my Anusara training years ago, and it's the number one thing that I do for people when they request low back stuff. If you ever take classes with me, you will notice I always work with a block in between the inner upper thighs. When I practice, I always put a puck in between my thighs for forward folds and whatnot, because for me it just creates a stability and a stabilizing factor for my femurs, my hips, and my pelvis. Okay, so let me show you what I'm talking about here. I'll break it down a little bit more. So you take the block in between the inner upper thighs, right? And as soon as you do that, you're starting to find a stabilization, or not a stabilization, but an engagement of your adductors, right? Those inner thighs, right? You're squeezing them. A lot of times those muscles aren't as strong as, like, say, the glutes. The glutes and the quads tend to overpower those muscles. So already you're activating them, right? And then what you're going to do is, without locking out the knees, you can bend the knees a little, bring your hands on your hips, and you're going to push the block back. Right, so I'll show you this way. You're squeezing the block and you're pushing it back so that your tush sticks out a little. And what happens is you're getting your femur bones, which are those large bones in the thighs, you're rooting them back towards the thighs. Right? A lot of times they can uproot and kind of pull the hamstrings out and cause havoc in the hips and low back. So you're rooting them back. You're deepening your groins here. And then keeping the block back, you're going to take your tailbone down and into your body, and then pulling the belly in and up. So if you saw my piece on core engagement, right, you could watch that to get even more understanding on how the core works. But you're pulling the low belly and drawing the tailbone in, right? And then for me, what I feel here is, I feel this in this kind of outer hip area, the greater trochanter. I feel this in the core, and the pelvis is now in a space where it's even, right? It's not tilted forward. It's not tipping up, the back of the pelvis tipping up or tipping forward, right? That's not happening. Instead, right, there's a drawing in and up, and there's a stability here, which really helps to engage the core. And then from here, I reach the arms out, puff the chest, and just snuggle the shoulders back. Not too much, right? But just enough so that I feel connected here. Keeping the block squeezing, I lift my toes without locking out those knees, right? So I lift up from my quadriceps, and then I just lift up here. I keep drawing the tailbone in, pulling the belly in, and lift and push down into my feet as I lift up through my arms. And I'm holding this for about 10 breaths. And just softening the neck. Make sure you're not tense here, right? Like, this isn't it, right? You want to be soft, right? So finding that opening, that space, that breath. Right, so you'll hold this for 10 breaths, and then that's it. Right, that's the posture. It doesn't seem like it's much, but it actually is, because if you do it right, you're really feeling a lot of engagement in the body. Now, if you feel like you want to stretch out the low back or find safety and protection in the low back, you could keep that block for when you fold forward. And you could do something similar by squeezing the block as you fold forward. However, forward folds aren't always the best if you have low back issues. A lot of people think they should stretch out the low back, but sometimes it can create more harm than good, right? So I would say if you are doing a forward fold, right, focus more on, as opposed to getting super deep, focus more on lengthening the spine, pushing the thighs back, pulling the belly in and folding here, but really finding length in the spine as opposed to compression, right? But again, that's using the block here is more as a protection if your low back is feeling funky or limited. In my experience, the best way to find this space is just by doing this. I would say doing that about 3 times a day. In addition to gentle practice, right? But this is something that really helps to create space and freedom in the hips and pelvis, which helps to then generate release and stability in the low back. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, by all means, you can leave your comments below if you have any other additional comments about this, or if this has worked for you and you'd like to share your experience, I'd love to hear it. Okay, so if you haven't checked out the course yet, make sure you do. I'm really committed to making sure that everyone that practices vinyasa and power yoga do so safely, so that they're really honoring their bodies, so that you can use this practice to take a deeper look at your life, right? So have a beautiful day, keep practicing, and I'll see you soon. Peace.